It's weird to see so many people sort of falling apart, kind of coming apart at the seams in the wake of the UFO files. We're now on batch 2, and the fallout from the Epstein disclosures earlier this year. It's crazy to see so many people just lose their minds, which tells me this is in a sense real. If you went back 10 years ago and said to people, hey, the US government's going to release a couple hundred videos and files and documents. They're going to release these on the Department of Defense website and tell the world to check it out. And a lot of people on the right who are conservatives and supposedly of faith just completely lose their minds. Like the guy in my comments who keeps saying he wants to tie a millstone around my neck. Hey, you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to do that to the pedophiles, not to peaceful journalists talking about the rise of AI and the UFO files, because those are by far the two biggest stories of the moment, the two biggest stories of our era. So the Bible said to do that to violent pedophiles, not to peaceful journalists who have a podcast. But in fact, you should do that to nobody, because we have a court of law and a legal system. We don't mete out justice based on what the Bible said. But yeah, this guy who keeps posting that, while his profile picture is him with his family, he's a father. Like, you're threatening a journalist publicly, threatening to kill me because you don't like me talking about the UFO files. You're a smooth brain, total baby brain. And this unsolicited view from a number of people who seem similar to him, this unsolicited view that all the UFOs and aliens are demons. How do you know? How do you have any idea? If you're a person of faith, that's not really what the Bible says. The Bible doesn't say that Earth is inhabited by God's creation and the rest of the universe, and infinitude outside of the atmosphere of Earth is all demons. That's a 5-year-old's cosmic view. Monsters under the bed. That's for children. That's for stupid children. But how come the right is acting like this? It's certainly not all members of the right. But hey, you're so angry about the UFO files. It's your guy Trump releasing it. It's your guy Trump and your guy Hegseth at the Pentagon who are the ones releasing this stuff. Why are you angry at me? This total mental breakdown of a movement. And Nick Fuentes, not the most moderate commentator to be sure, but what he has said recently I definitely think is true, which is that many of the people criticizing this movement, like Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson, these people, when it comes close to midterms, will circle back and rally the base and say, hey, at least they're not as bad as the Democrats. Make sure you get out to the polls. Now, me personally, I have two options. This movement has become so toxic at every level, so disgusting. Is this the golden age? Every single thing is worse. Every aspect of American life is worse. And here we gave you everything you wanted, and you have the House and the Senate, and you have the President and the White House you wanted, and you're complete psychopaths. Guys with profile pictures of their families saying they want to violently murder me because I'm covering AI and the UFO files. As Fuentes would say, there's something wrong with this movement, right? As he would say in his voice, there's something wrong with this movement. And there really is. There's something wrong. These people who hold themselves up as the most righteous among us are literally like the people in the Stephen King movie, The Stand, who go off with the dark man, go off to Las Vegas with the dark man. I guess the orange man in this case. Some of these people have lost their fucking minds. I have the right to talk about the rise of AI. ChatGPT and Google Gemini are literally the two smartest things on the planet. They're not humans. They don't feel pain. They aren't biological beings. To say I can't talk about AI, stay in your lane. Why don't you raise your family and stop threatening strangers? The conservative movement has turned into a bunch of creepy bullshit. Creepy, weirdo, middle-class guys threatening journalists. They're all demons. You're a fucking idiot. So the UFO files, obviously there's something there. This many people wouldn't be upset. If you really thought it was nothing, why would you care? You definitely wouldn't be angry over it. You wouldn't be angry about it. Now, this is ontological worldview shock. This is a lot of very average people being thrust into some disclosures they didn't really ask for. They just wanted no new wars and keep inflation down. And instead, we got war with Iran, the thing that for 30 years the American government has said would be like the worst case scenario. And here we are. The stock market is doing fine. The trains leave on time. The roads are pretty good. People are getting their summer travel underway. We've been in a war with Iran for the last couple months. Again, what they told us was the worst case scenario apocalypse. And here we are a couple months in, and things are mostly fine. Aside from at the gas pump, things are actually mostly fine. Yet the UFO files, clearly there's something to that, or else these people's brains wouldn't be popping. These little smooth brains. If you believe it's all deception, why are you so angry? You're that angry that I'm just reporting on what's at war.gov/UFO? It's the role of a journalist to report on what's most important. And the anti-AI folks are almost as stupid sounding. We want to keep the data centers out. The data centers are the cleanest, least impactful structure you can have that's a business, basically. So you have all over America the history of coal, which destroys people's lungs and difficult industry. And states like Ohio, even California, even beautiful California recently, they had this emergency in Orange County. Some chemical tank almost exploded. It was overheating. So they had to warn the whole community. There was an emergency, they had to evacuate some people. Chemical tanks processing volatile industrial chemicals right in people's backyards, right next to schools, railroads all over the country with open bed tankers transporting God knows what chemicals in powder form, and the powder just flies off the top, and Granny, Grandma and little Timmy, they breathe that shit in and nobody complains. And again, states like Ohio, the whole state is a chemical factory. Nobody complains. And yet a data center, which is really just a bunch of servers in a environmentally controlled room, it's the least exploitative business structure you can have. And these idiots in town halls, we want the data centers out. They're taking all our water. Actually, the newer data centers don't even use water for thermal cooling. You look at how the new chips are designed. They don't need that much cooling. There's not as much movement of data. You'll get the big dinner plate wafer chips. So these new data centers don't even use water, and the older ones that do use water, it's not like it goes away forever. The water isn't tainted, it isn't irradiated, it's simply used to cool down the chips. So not a single person is in need of water in America due to the data centers, not one. And yet so many of you have picked up this half-assed, fake progressive talking point because some people on the left and some people in DC were threatened that AI took off kind of out of nowhere, and they feel like they don't have their hands deep enough in it. And so the way to slow it down, like they slow down everything, because this is what progressives do, like their hysteria over video games 25 years ago, trying to link video games to school violence and school shootings and stuff, trying to criminalize the gamer. 25 years later, trying to criminalize the AI operator because they feel threatened. They feel like their power base is moving away. Why do guys like Bill Maher and John Oliver instinctively hate AI so much? Why do they believe it's beneath the public to use AI? Well, because they're kind of authority figures. And when you can go on ChatGPT or Google Gemini and ask it a question, you in milliseconds get an answer that's far more smart than anything that's come out of Bill Maher's mouth in his entire life, and more analytical than anything John Oliver has read. These men are no longer needed. That's deeply threatening to the media class. They pretend it's not. They pretend they're cool with it. They're not. These authority figures and these influencers and these wellness mommies and stuff are actually deeply threatened by the rise of AI. They're deeply threatened that I more trust what ChatGPT says over a Neil deGrasse Tyson or a Dr. Rhonda Patrick or whatever that lady's name who always goes on Joe Rogan to give mainstream health advice. These people are deeply threatened that they're no longer the only channel for information. And they're becoming a marginalized channel. Again, if AI is better, these people are out of work. And so for some reason, you guys who have nothing to gain, nothing to lose, you've taken up their fight. You've taken up the fight of the wellness mommies and the Karens and the Bill Maher's in Hollywood who are threatened by AI because it means they're less useful. It doesn't mean you're less useful. It means they are. And yet you're picking up their talking points, which are just made up sad bullshit, and scaring away the data centers. Why are we criminalizing AI? Just so China can make all the money, so they can make all the advances? I mean, the state of AI in China and even in Europe is pulling ahead. We're still ahead of them. I think definitely OpenAI and Anthropic are better than Mistral. But China's making real advances. And these people on the right who are trying to slow AI, what the fuck are you doing? This is the new oil rush. If you don't want an oil well in your town, hey, you can protest against it, but you're a fucking idiot. Who ever heard of protesting against striking oil in your town? Well, the data centers don't create a lot of jobs, Seaman. No, maybe not directly, because it's automated. You don't need 1 million people to operate a data center. But think about the surrounding, think about the change. Think about you have local inference, doesn't have to hop as far, so your AI in your community is literally going to be better over time. Your AI experiences are going to be better. And the second order effects are huge. These are American chips going into the data center that employs a crazy number of Americans. And these are stocks, these are companies, the companies that make these chips and make these data centers. These are companies that millions of people have in their portfolios, either directly or through their 401ks and their public pensions and stuff. These are things that literally millions of Americans are deeply exposed to. So when you're protesting it and you're giving the kind of demented progressive left view at your town halls, you're shooting yourselves in the foot. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, aside from threatening a journalist while posting a picture of yourself and your entire family. Bad OPSEC, bro. You want to kill me? I know exactly who you are. You're a smooth brain. And again, these people who are freaking out over the UFO files, you have more faith than the rest of us? You seem scared shitless. It seems like your faith is not helping you at all. Rather than just, entertaining curiosity and seeing what happens with this. And hey, it's your guy Trump releasing it again. I don't understand painting the UFO files as some left-wing psyop when it's your guy releasing them. You're calling Trump a liar? You think Trump has 50 years of photoshopped UFO images ready to go, and now he's just releasing them because he has nothing better to do? Is that really what you believe? And, Trump is a force of nature. I think a lot of what he's done has been fucked up, but he's a force of nature. And I think the UFO files genuinely move us forward. Like I said the other day on the live stream, him moving cannabis to Schedule 3, another thing that conservatives didn't ask for. Conservatives love to torment the cannabis user, but now it's over. Now the American government cannot torture the cannabis user because it's Schedule 3, the same as Tylenol with codeine or things like ketamine, prescription, but not Schedule 1. Not something they can blackball you from government jobs forever, and not something they can throw you in prison for forever. So Trump really moved the goalposts there in a good way. And conservatives, because they're so in their own world. These people like Tucker Carlson with the dad who is lifelong CIA, and he's wildly anti-weed while he's promoting his nicotine pouch brand. Like, who are these people? I agree with Nick Fuentes. There's something wrong with this movement. There's something wrong with these people. There is something wrong with this movement. And these guys calling everything demons. Hey, you guys seem absolutely satanic. For so-called Christians, some of what you're writing in my comments section lately, the threats, the made-up know-it-all nonsense, not even grounded in a single Bible quote, your behavior seems absolutely satanic. Again, you keep LARPing as you're the good people that get called to Colorado because you see Mother Abigail in your dreams, right? The Stephen King, The Stand, that TV series. You keep LARPing that you're better than the rest of us, and you're literally the dumbasses that get dragged to Las Vegas and hear the call of the dark man. That's literally what it is. I know we got some Stephen King fans out there. You keep LARPing as being more righteous and holy than the rest of us, and all you seem to get off on is torturing cannabis users and immigration policies that are increasingly draconian and anti-AI stuff that hands a multi-trillion-dollar lunch to China. And there's something wrong with your movement. And so I think when midterms come, I either have to vote for the most pro-regulation Democrat who will put all these freaks in prison. Every single Trump coin scammer needs to go to prison. Every single person who made billions of dollars on oil trades while Trump was going back and forth on the Strait of Hormuz, these people need to go to prison. They need a humble ride. So either I support the biggest pro-regulation Democrat out there, and I don't care if I lose every single dollar. I really don't. These people are a complete joke, and they've had a year and a half, and they've given us nothing. Nothing other than guys threatening to strangle me in the comments. Your movement is a failure. You've given us fucking nothing, and you had it all. You had the support of the country. You had both houses of Congress. You had your own media, was completely in lockstep with you until you started mocking people who wanted Epstein files disclosure. And that's weird to me too. People in my comments saying, we don't care about the UFO files. Why don't you cover the Epstein files? I couldn't say another word about Jeffrey Epstein. I've said so much about it, and you can go back through my videos or my years of content. I've said so much about elite human trafficking and Jeffrey Epstein and the occult and all that I literally don't feel like I have a single word to add to the discussion at this point. My views and my research is out there. Now, I could do summary videos, I guess, summarizing what we already know based on what has come out. But I don't need the ad revenue. I do this for the love of the game. I don't need people to watch summary videos. Somebody else can do that, and other people have. But no, we know what Epstein is. Based on the files that have already come out, they were raping kids and maybe in some rare cases even eating them. Now that's what researchers say who've reviewed the emails and have fed them into AI systems. That's what some of these credible researchers say. That's not my own claim. But there's already enough there. And you guys celebrated people who are in the Epstein files. People in the Epstein files who are emailing back and forth about emailing Jeffrey Epstein about subverting American constitutional government, subverting the American people's will. And you celebrated these people after the files came out by letting them speak at CPAC and Turning Point USA. As Nick Fuentes would say, there's something wrong with your movement. You keep yelling at me, give me the Epstein files. Hey, I'm actually not the American federal government. I'm just a YouTuber. And again, I could not say another word about Jeffrey Epstein. Instead of demanding these people be put in prison, instead of demanding these people be charged, you invited them to CPAC and Turning Point USA. Your movement is some kind of weird gaslighting psyop, and it's driving your own base literally crazy. Thank you guys so much. God bless. Please think for yourselves. And again, I know I said I should support the biggest Democrat. I won't. I'm not going to vote in midterms. I'm just pulling back. No donations and no vote. Because the Democrats aren't good either. What have they given us? Absolutely nothing. They're the ones who led to the desperation that gave us Trump. The Democrats aren't the good guys here. They're equally dog shit.